2016, I was diagnosed with TB MDRX. Then they explained to me that the medication that they will be given to me, it can give me a hearing loss or something. On my 3rd month, that's when my sound was starting to fade away. I couldn't hear so much. After the checkup, nothing was coming up. I asked the doctor, when am I going back to work? He said, no, you can't go back to work. You are there. All I wanted was to hear. That's all I wanted. The first audio said to me that there's something they call Cochlear Implant. They're doing it at Baragwanath.
Our program started in September 2006, and at that point there were very few public sector cochlear implant programs in the country. We've implanted 170 patients. Each patient is a culmination of probably about a year's work with that patient in terms of assessments and the journey that we follow with the patient.
Our team is very dedicated to it, and I think we have a very great team that is not just here for a job, and this is a purpose.
I think at Barra it's really important to us that we are serving our community, and there are patients who are not in a position to access private healthcare. What 15 years ago was something that was really reserved for patients in the private sector financially, we're able to provide the equivalent service and the equivalent device for 250,000 Rand to patients in the public sector who aren't able to fund themselves. A cochlear implant is a device. It's got 2 parts. The internal component is put inside the ear through a surgery. Our ENT surgeon implants it, and that is wound up inside of the cochlea. And then there's an external device called the processor that sits on the ear. The processor on the outside picks up the sound from the environment, and then it sends it through a magnet into the implant and then into the cochlea and up to the brain. And then they come a month later for us to activate the device. It's what we call a switch on.
I'm feeling so good, excited, if I can hear it.
So normal hearing, we hear sound waves. Through a cochlear implant, you hear electrical impulses. So our job as audiologists and speech therapists is to program the device, but also then to train the brain. So to help that person start to make sense of those sounds.
Because the brain can hear the sound, but it can't interpret what it's hearing. So basically with oral rehab, we're trying to teach the brain to hear the sound the way it's supposed to be.
I can hear that. My switch on was on the 24th of September, and that day was just an overwhelming day, you know. Yippee, that you can hear. I can take up the world, why not? Then I'm leaving.
Even my own switch on, it was amazing. It was amazing. Going outside and hear something after 3 years of not hearing anything. You can see that, okay, my life now is changing. I'm back.
I think that when you have an adult who's lost their hearing recently, their auditory system is already well developed, so they tend to move quite quickly through the process. Children, on the other hand, are a very different story. So if you've never heard before, not only do we need to give sound, but we need to now develop language. Montati was the first child that we implanted in our program. It was in 2009. He was switched on, and then the hard work really started of his mum coming in to see us every single week for us to teach her how to facilitate listening and language. And within a few months, he started imitating sounds. And then within a few months more, we got our first word.
The first word, he said, Mama, Mama. I was so very happy.
When I grow up, I want to be in speech therapy, and I want to have a small key to get the cochlear implant there.
Some will learn spoken language as their primary language and only language.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Some will end up using a combination of sign and spoken.
Right.
All I care about as a therapist is that this child has language, that they can communicate, that they can share their hopes and dreams with their mom, that they can go to school and have friends, that they can learn. And I've realized how much more valuable it is to talk to somebody who you know has actually walked this journey before you. And so we started a support group quite a long time ago, so that our patients were able to meet others on their journey.
We are like a family.
They enjoy coming here because it's one place where you get to listen and you get to be yourself, you get to tell your story, and someone who actually understands where you're coming from and all the difficulties that you're actually having.
I was happy after many years.
I think the support group is one of the things that really play a big role. Going there and meeting the people who are using the same thing, who was on the same journey as I, it changed me. I saw some light.
Hearing loss disables them so much to the point that they lack self-confidence, they can't be independent, they lose their voices actually. So for them to go back to the communities, to be independent, to be themselves, to do the things that they love doing, for me that's what it means, to be able to help all these patients.
Patients coming back and saying, I got my life back, I got my job back, I got myself back. It's such a privilege. I mean, I feel lucky every single day.
I just so wish to be an ambassador for Cochlear Implant. Go out there, spread the word. Let us not deny people a chance to hear again. Let's give them the inspiration, something to live for, something to hope for. It's a life changing. It gives me a life again. I'm alive.